Jefferson here again with another first listen review. This is a band that I can't remember how I found them, but I was looking for it had something to do with me looking for another band, and I saw these guys. The name came up, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I got their first CD. It was like an independent release. And I remember it took me a long time to listen to it, and I finally popped it in. And I was like, holy cow, this is pretty sweet. It's really good. And I guess it was an independent release. That album was called Out to the Darkness, and they got signed by Frontiers, and they came out with their second album. I forget what the album was called off the top of my head. And then this one just came out. It's called Wings, and the band is called it's spelled Rian, so I thought it was pronounced Ryan, but I've heard a lot of other people pronounce it Rain, so I really don't know. But they're a really good band. I don't really know any of the individual players other than being in this band. They have vocals by Richard Indermeyer, drums are Jan Johansson, bass is Jonas Mellon, and their lead guitar player is Tobias Jacobson. Like I said, I don't know anything about these guys other than that they're Swedish and they play some really cool music. This style of music, it's funny because when I was listening to it, I was like, this reminds me of like Journey, like Bon Jovi, I hate to bust on John, but with better vocals, and stuff like that. Europe, Survivor, that style of music. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, how come bands today that play this kind of music are not bigger than they should be? It's like you can't blame grunge for everything. It's like, what's going on that these bands are not like huge? This is the style of music that my generation at least grew up listening to. And I know we still buy music. I still buy music. I know a lot of people I talk to buy music. So I don't know. It was just me like free thinking about this when I was listening to it. But the singing style on this is more. It's like he's got a really pure sounding voice, so there's not a whole lot of rasp ever. A little bit sometimes, but not very much. Very sparingly used. Really great vocal melodies. It's a big catchy style of music, that melodic rock of those bands I just mentioned. The production is more full. Obviously, the style has changed over the years, but it's got a fuller sound. And part of me kind of wondered maybe that's part of the reason. Sometimes when you use a lot of the same production style on a lot of different bands, some bands tend to lose their uniqueness. Obviously, if you're, have a style of your own, it's going to cut through that anyway. I think these guys kind of do that. They kind of cut through the production style that does sound a lot like other bands out there, and has a way of shining through in different ways. Unfortunately, I get the feeling that a lot of these bands use a lot of the same drum samples. It's not real drums. I don't know that's 100% true, but even if it isn't, they're producing them to sound a lot similar. That you just don't hear that different style and things that I think should have that different style. Drummers should have their own sound, and if you but if you quantize everything so it's perfectly in time, and you take the human feel away from it, which that's my only negative about this. It kind of feels like there's too much production happening, and I hear that in a lot of music nowadays, and it strips the soul out of the songs. Luckily, the singer is phenomenal, and the guitar playing has a really unique style. The bass is mixed a little bit low. It's not buried or anything like that, but I wish it was a little bit more up front in the mix. Maybe it could have been what I was listening to it on. I was actually listening to this on my home stereo, which I don't usually do, so maybe that could have been just I'm not used to listening to stuff on that one, but I'll give them the pass on that one for that little bit of a little critique. But really good album. It's a really great style of music that I really enjoy, and if you're a fan of any of those bands I mentioned, you're definitely going to like this type of music. The songs are killer, really good. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of these bands that doesn't get the promotion and publicity that they need. Like I said, I've heard about these guys several years ago. It had to be at least 5-6 years ago, I would say. And, here they are with the third release, and I'm sure there's A lot of people out there have never heard of these guys, and they really should, because they're making quality music that I kind of miss. So anyway, tell me what you guys think. Instead of me just rambling on and on, I could go on about that for hours. But as always, feel free to like, share, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And we'll talk to you in the next one. See ya.